The living room was painted in soft amber light that evening, the kind that made dust particles look like tiny stars floating in the air. The curtains glowed gold as the sun slipped away, and the smell of roasted chicken mixed with lavender from the candle my daughter-in-law had lit near the window. Everyone was laughing. Forks clinked against plates. Glasses chimed together in celebration. It looked like one of those perfect moments people capture in photos and hang on walls. And then my son said it. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't look angry. He didn't even hesitate. He smiled like it was nothing, and in front of everyone he said, "You know, Mom, sometimes you're just a burden." The word hit me harder than any slap ever could. The room didn't go silent. Laughter continued around me, but it sounded far away, like it was coming from another world. My hands froze in my lap. My chest tightened, as if the air itself had suddenly disappeared. I felt heat rise to my face, then cold creep into my fingers. The candle flickered. The smell of chicken turned bitter in my nose. In that one moment, everything I had ever done for him rushed back like a flood. Every night I stayed awake when he was sick. Every extra shift I worked so he could have new shoes. Every silent prayer I whispered when I didn't know how I'd pay the bills. All of it collapsed into that single word. Burden. I smiled because I didn't know what else to do. I nodded like I had heard a joke. But inside something cracked. My name is Margaret Hale, and this is the night my own son broke me in front of strangers, and how that moment changed the rest of my life. I never imagined I'd be the kind of woman who would be spoken to like that by her own child. I wasn't perfect, but I tried. I raised Daniel alone after his father walked out when Daniel was just 5. I was 32, working 2 jobs, terrified and stubbornly hopeful. I told myself that love and effort could make up for anything we lacked. Our small house always smelled like laundry soap and burnt toast, because I was always rushing. Daniel would sit at the kitchen table doing homework while I ironed uniforms or packed lunches for the next day. He used to look up at me with those big brown eyes and say, "Mom, you're the strongest person I know." I held on to those words for years. They kept me going when my feet hurt, and my back ached, and my heart felt lonely. As Daniel grew older, he became ambitious, driven, hungry for more than our quiet life. He went to college on a partial scholarship. I cried when he left, not because I didn't want him to go, but because I was proud and scared at the same time. He was my world, and suddenly that world felt empty. When he graduated and got a job in finance, he changed. His voice became sharper. His visits became shorter. His phone calls turned into quick check-ins like ticking off a chore. I told myself he was just busy. I didn't want to be the needy mother. I didn't want to push him away. Then he met Claire. She was elegant, confident, always dressed perfectly. She had a laugh that filled the room and eyes that seemed to measure everything. She was kind to me, but there was a distance I couldn't name. Still, I was happy for him. He had built a life I could only dream of. When they invited me to live with them after my health started to fail, I thought it was love calling me home. My doctor said I shouldn't live alone anymore. Daniel insisted. "It's easier this way, Mom," he said. "You won't have to worry about anything." I believed him. At first, it was wonderful. Their house was big, bright, filled with music and the smell of fresh coffee in the mornings. I helped with chores. I cooked when I could. I tried to make myself useful. But slowly, I noticed the sighs when I asked for help, the glances when I moved too slowly, the way conversations paused when I entered the room. I told myself I was imagining it. I didn't want to be a burden. The night of the dinner party, they had invited friends and colleagues. I wore my best dress. I even put on the pearl necklace Daniel had given me years ago. I wanted to feel like I belonged. And then he said it. No one defended me. No one corrected him. They laughed like it was a joke. Claire touched his arm and smiled. I felt invisible. That night, I lay awake in the guest room staring at the ceiling. The house was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner. I realized something painful. I had spent my life proving my worth to everyone, including my own son, and it still wasn't enough. The next morning, I packed a small bag. I left a note thanking them for everything. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't want another smile that hid indifference. I went back to my old neighborhood. The house had been sold years ago, but I found a small apartment nearby. It was modest, but it was mine. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I could breathe. Days turned into weeks. Daniel didn't call. I didn't reach out. I focused on myself, on small joys, morning sunlight, the smell of fresh bread from the bakery downstairs, the sound of children playing in the park. One afternoon, my phone rang. It was Daniel. His voice was softer, uncertain. He said he missed me. He said he didn't realize how much he hurt me. I listened quietly. When he finished, I told him the truth. I told him how his words had shattered something inside me. I told him I loved him, but I needed respect. There was a long pause. Then he said, "I'm sorry, Mom. It wasn't perfect. It didn't erase the pain, but it was a beginning. Now I live for myself. I still love my son, but I no longer shrink to fit into someone else's comfort." Sometimes the deepest wounds teach us the most powerful lessons. That our worth is not measured by how much we sacrifice, but by how we choose to honor ourselves. And I finally chose me.